Welcome back to Coach's Corner West at the Pizza Hut here in Bucyrus. Almost said Galleon. I'm so used to Wednesday night. We are in Bucyrus tonight. I'm your host, Mike Sparks, filling in for Dan Messerschmidt, who is on assignment, and it's time for the Buckeye Central portion of tonight's show with the girls basketball team. We're brought to you in part by Vince Ponziani and Associates at Waycraft Industries, Rod Steiger and Associates at Pizza Hut here in Bucyrus and Galleon, host of our show since 1992, as well as the Burkhart family at Burkhart Farm Sales, your Case IH dealer on the Manette, New Winchester Road. I'd like to welcome to our table today Assistant Coach Tyler Shade. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And some of the young ladies. We have young ones tonight, one junior and two sophomores, so we'll be talking to them in just a moment. Continued success in Dutchtown, 16-1 overall, 12-0 in the Northern 10 Conference, number 3 in Division 4 of the AP poll. Fort Loramie, number 1, New Madison Tri-Village, second place the last time that came out. Does that add a lot of pressure to not only you as the coaches, but the girls as well?
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure it's necessarily pressure, but it's neat to see. We look at it as a sign of respect. Ultimately, it doesn't really mean much. In the grand scheme of things, we still have to go out and win, but to see that recognition we're getting from across the state is pretty neat.
Yeah, because in theory, let's face it, Fort Loramie could go out in their first sectional game, get dropped, and you're like, oh great, we were number 1 in the AP, but it doesn't really mean much at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
For sure. Averaging 57.1 points per game, giving up 34.6 points per game. A lot of coaches will say sometimes defense is our best offense. You have to be proud of what the girls have done on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, we are, and it's something that, especially we see a lot of zone defense against us, and stuff can get stagnant. So we try to get up and people press and let our defense turn into our offense. And breakaway layups pretty easy offense to run. So.
A couple weeks ago, on Tuesday the 18th, against Seneca East, a team that was right behind you in the standings, still are. You beat them 53-40. You got out to a nice lead, 16-7 after one, and stretched it to 31-18 at half. And you had to be thinking something else is coming from them. They're not in second place for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. We hit shots early. We maybe got a little complacent in the second half. Some shots weren't falling, and Coach Vogt made some adjustments. They started hammering inside the bows. It was kind of a red flag for us that our post defense isn't necessarily where it's going to need to be to get where we need to go.
Seneca East did battle back and got within 6 points, but the Buckettes were solid from the free throw line, especially late. You shot 11 of 12 from the fourth quarter. And I'm sure in talking to girls, you work on that every practice, don't you?
Yeah, we do. It's a point of emphasis for us, and we don't give our girls water breaks. They shoot free throws, and they can get a drink while they're shooting. So we probably average 20 to 30 a day just in those. So and it shows.
Well, it's going to, let's face it, the tournament game is different than a regular season game. It's tighter, it's more defensive, it's literally possession by possession, especially the farther you go. And free throws are going to make a difference, aren't they?
They are. It's huge. We have one possession, 1 point, and it's win or go home. So there's no room for error.
Coach Capel mentioned in the Telegraph Forum, second half they switched some things up, just as you said. And we got a little stagnant, a little loose with the basketball. Threw the ball to areas where we shouldn't throw it. And it's frustrating in the sense that it's something we talk about. What did he really mean? You're preaching that in practice and it just didn't translate to the game?
Yeah, it is. And it's something that we work on and we've kind of tried to ingrain in these girls. And there's times that, you get in the heat of battle and we have slip-ups. But we've got to understand who needs to have the basketball in crunch times and go from there.
Even though you won the rebounding battle 27-24, you got beat on the offensive glass, and Coach Capel said, I thought we backed down. We didn't do a great job of rebounding. What was it? Was it just the way that Seneca East was a little more aggressive towards the boards?
They're more aggressive than we are. They're a little bit more physically tough than we are, and they're flat out bigger than us. So we've got to be able to take that next step and really get into people and box out and kind of take that toughness up a level.
Claudia Pfeiffer leads the Buckettes, 24 points, 9 rebounds. Emily Cecil, 19.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 steals, made popcorn at halftime. No, she didn't. I just wrote that in here. Riley Cancer, 4 points. Kennedy Deppen with 4, and Julia Evak, who's here tonight, with 2 points. Then you get a nice win over Cary, 70-49 on Friday the 21st. Led 37-23 at half and then pulled away in the second half. Claudia with 23, Emily 22, Julia with 11. Sydney Worm with 6 points. Upper Sandusky on Friday the 28th, you win 67-27, a game that you probably got a lot of girls in, got some nice experience. You shut them out in the first quarter, 17-0, and led 33-18 at halftime. That's getting off to a nice start.
It is. We've been preaching defensive intensity, like we said, and we kind of ramped it up there, and we did a good job of limiting them to one-shot possessions.
You led 57-20 after the third quarter and cruised to the win. And how important is that to get young girls a lot of time on the court in a varsity contest?
Oh, it's huge. It's, you're thinking for next year, but you're also thinking for this year. We saw it with Claudia going down in the preseason of you losing all Ohio, and now who's going to be that next person to step up. So it's huge, making sure that the pipeline's full, and because you never know when these guys' numbers going to get called.
That's right. As you said, an injury away,
Yeah.
or foul trouble away.
Yeah, foul trouble, anything. Yep.
You shot 53% from the field, 50 from the three-point line. Is that kind of high? I mean, compared to where you have been most of the year, is that just clicking that night?
It was just clicking. Yeah, it was. We started out a little bit flat. I would like to see what our stats were the last three quarters. Because we didn't shoot the ball particularly well early, and then the switch flipped, and
it's like a rock going downhill.
Yep.
Very good. Emily Cecil, 22 points. Claudia Pfeiffer, 21. Kennedy Deppen, 8. Kate Cecil, 6. Sydney Worm with 6. Julia Evak and Riley Concert with 2 points each. So nice wins there, and you head into the late part of the season continuing on a roll. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Before we're going to go to the girls, I want to remind everybody that we're brought to you in part by Blythe Friedley and Todd McDougall at Friedley and Company Insurance in New Washington, Ted Coder at Monarch Body Shop, New Washington, and the Ohio State University at Marion, a Big Ten education close to home. Junior, Kaitlyn Best is next to me, and Kaitlyn, you drew first straw to talk. You glad about that?
Yeah.
You're psyched up. Okay.
Yeah.
How's your season been going thus far?
The JV's been doing pretty good this year.
Yeah, I was looking, I have the numbers here, 12-5 overall, 9-3 in the Northern 10 Conference. Got to be happy about that. What has been your strongest part of the game so far?
I think I'm more a defensive player than an offensive player, and I feel like I bring some energy to the court. So.
Are you allowed to score? I mean,
I'm allowed to score.
Just not
need
always
to do it,
doing
yeah.
it. Yeah. Coach talked about on the varsity level, not a ton of height, and maybe not being as physical as some other teams. Is that the same on the JV end, or are you a little more physical on the JV end?
I feel like we try to be physical. Just sometimes we get outpowered or we don't want to be physical, but we try.
Are you getting much time on the varsity level? I mean, probably did against Upper Sandusky, but
Just the games where we're up a lot. In the
Okay.
fourth quarter we get in, but no.
all right. But you're going to be playing a very important role coming up. As you go into the tournament, you have to give the starters the look of the other team. So you got to mimic them, and that's doggone important. You ready to take on that role? And because JV season's going to be over because you're in tournament now, are you ready to take that on and be whoever team you're going to face?
I mean, yeah, we've kind of been doing that all year because every game's a big game. So every game we take on the role to do it. So we're ready to do it for the tournaments.
Good. You excited about what this team can do and how far it can go?
I'm really excited just going to get some practice every day.
Yeah.
Get both teams better, and they're a really good team. So it's fun to go against them in practice.
Good for you. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate
you.
that. Ella Evak, sophomore, is up next. And Ella, it's good to see you. And I think probably last time we spoke was probably around volleyball season sometime. And you're the third and final Evak girl coming up. And I've watched both your sisters play. How important is that to watch the success that they've had and kind of follow their footsteps? One now playing volleyball collegiately, and your sister being a senior, to do what they've done? Or do you think about it, I want to be my own person and do what I want to do?
Yeah, they're definitely great role models, and they're great people to look up to, but I do my own thing, and they're both taller and bigger, so I basically do my own thing out there.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you need to be your own person too, but it's good to have them as role
Yeah.
models. You were a volleyball player. Let's face it, the girls basketball team at Buckeye Central has had really solid years these last few years, and we know the success of the volleyball team. How much of that success that you've experienced in volleyball and everybody that plays basketball, how much of that has translated over, do you think? In other words, the success that you've had in volleyball helps when you get in tight games in basketball because you've been through big crowds and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the stress is definitely down because, we've been through all that before, but yeah.
Yeah, been there, done that kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where have you improved from the beginning of the year in your basketball game to where you are right now?
Definitely my shooting and stuff. I think it's definitely changed throughout the years. And I think throughout this season, just my speed maybe, and I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're excited about things to come as well
Yeah, for
down the
sure.
tournament trail. Well, continued success. Enjoy it. Enjoy your sister's last game coming up, regular season game. I'm sure that'll be a little bit of a tug on the heartstring for sure. But at least mom and dad have a few more years to celebrate you and enjoy you as well. Well, I appreciate you coming out. And finally, we have Kimmy Biglin is a sophomore as well. Kimmy, I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Mostly on the JV, or are you getting some varsity time as well?
We're getting some varsity time, like Kaitlyn said.
What do you like about the JV group the best? I mean, are you up and down, racing up and down wide open, or is it more of a defensive team?
I think our defense, we really try and focus on that because we know that's where transition happens and we get those rebounds. And I think it's also different on the JV level because I think every day at practice we get to show up with varsity and work with them, and it's a big help for us, and it really helps us bump up our intensity a lot.
Yeah.
So it's good for us.
What have you seen the biggest improvement in your game from the beginning of the year to where you're at now?
I'd say my rebounding. I think my rebounding has definitely improved. I think it's a big part of the game, and I think rebounding is.
And coaches never yell at the sideline, box out, Kimmy, do they? They never yell that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a big part of it. I mean, you got to get a body on somebody and get them out and clean up the glass. So, and as I was talking to Winford, and sometimes defense is your best offense. I said it to you too. It really can dictate how the game's going to flow. What do you want to finish out strong on the JV end? What do you want to accomplish?
I personally just think I should clean up on my offensive, my shooting, my guarding, rebounding, anything that I can do to improve.
Good.
I'd like
All right.
to do.
Well, I appreciate you coming out.
All right.
Continued success. Enjoy the rest of the year. Take one final break here before we finish up tonight's show. We're brought to you in part by Mike Kleinite at Ag Credit Residential Lending, Bucyrus, Mount Gilead, and Marion, Dr. Thomas M. Britton at Clubview Vision Center, and Luann Krebs at River's Edge Embroidery, Screen Printing and Signs, Route 309, across from the Marion Depot. And Coach Shade is with us here, and JVs, as I mentioned, 12-5 overall, 9-3 in the N10. You've been happy with their success?
Yeah, I think so. They've done a nice job this year. 12-5, obviously, you can't complain with that. And it's just like we talked about earlier. It's building that pipeline, it's continuing the success, and getting ready for the next couple of years.
Yeah, good. Upcoming games Thursday night, maybe. We'll see. You're going to go on the road to a really solid Bellevue team, maybe not as solid as they have been in the past when the Santoro girls were there, but their dad's still the head coach. He still runs a great program. It's a great tournament tester for your team.
It is. It's going on the road. It's a loud gym. It's a cool gym. I don't know how he runs his practices, but every single year their girls are intense. They get up and they guard, whether his daughters are playing or not. They've got 5 girls that are going to get up and defend from baseline to baseline. So we'll have to be ready for that.
And then Saturday, you have Bucyrus, a team that you beat 58-34 right near the end of the year on December 30th, but it's a much improved Bucyrus team. They're starting to hang with some teams right now.
Yep. Yeah, you start seeing some of these scores and watching their film, and like I said last time I was in here, it's not anywhere close to what they've been the past couple of years. So.
And then you have a quick break on Sunday, probably get in the gym and have a little bit of a shoot around, because you have Sandusky Perkins coming a week from tonight out of the Sandusky Bay Conference, a team that's also pretty doggone good.
They are. It's a big Division II school. They've got two really good back to the basket post players, which you don't see a lot of around here. So that's a tournament type game to give us something that we're not used to seeing.
And when you put the likes of Bellevue, Perkins, Shelby, who you had on the schedule earlier, that's all done by purpose.
Yep.
To get you ready for the type of teams you're going to see in the tournament for sure. And then not to get too far out, but Thursday the 10th, you're going to be at Lexington. Always been a pretty solid program, haven't they?
They are. They're around 500, but we told the girls the other day in practice, 500 in their league is completely different than 500 in our league. They're playing Division II, small ones, so that's a quality opponent.
And then you finish up on Saturday the 12th with Winford, team that you beat 59-29 back on the 7th of January, and that's going to say goodbye for the last time at your gym for a really, really talented senior group.
Mm-hmm. It is, and that's going to be a tough one. That's senior day. Senior day is always tough, and you look at the group that we have here with the success that they've had on the court and just who they are off the court. Claudia, Jules, and Em are just great people, and what they've done for our program and what they'll do for the next, hopefully, 6 weeks is going to be remembered for a long time.
Yeah, no question. And I wanted to make mention I believe a win Saturday clinches the outright N10, correct?
It clinches it outright, but that doesn't give us the undefeated throughout. That's what we're looking
Correct,
for. So,
because you're
yep.
2 games up, and that would be with only 1 to go, so
Yeah.
Seneca East wouldn't be able to catch you.
Yep.
Tournament draw yesterday, you nabbed the number 1 seed. You're going to play the winner of Plymouth versus New London. That game takes place on Wednesday the 16th. That game will be at Ashland Crestview High School on Saturday the 19th at 7:30. Have you looked much at Plymouth or New London?
We have. We've started peeking ahead to them a little bit. We're familiar with both their coaches, and we've played them the past couple of years. And that's something that, yeah, we get the 1 seed, and then you pick your line, and you just kind of see how the dominoes fall, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
Should you be successful in that, the district semi would be Thursday the 24th. You will play the winner of Norwalk St. Paul, who would take on Mansfield Christian or South Central winner. One could argue it could be Mansfield Christian coming out and taking St. Paul. St. Paul would be unique because it's a team that a lot of these girls face on the volleyball court and have faced in the basketball court. But as you mentioned, nothing's more important than Thursday at Bellevue right now.
yeah, Thursday at Bellevue is huge, like you said. That's a district final feel. We'll take care of business there, and we'll move on from there. Then we'll get to tournament time.
Very good. Well, Tyler Shade and girls, thanks for coming out tonight. I appreciate it. Continued success. We look forward to a long tournament trail of coverage for us on the radio, and just appreciate you coming out so much.
Thank you very much. We
You
appreciate
bet.
it.
Coming up a little later on WQEL, we have high school boys basketball. Bucyrus will be on the road at Crestline. Should be a great game. That's coming up around 7:30 on WQEL tonight. Tomorrow, we have high school girls basketball. It'll be Northmore at Winford on WQEL. Tip time right around 7:30. Wednesday night, weather permitting, stay tuned for details. I'll have Coach's Corner East at the Galleon Pizza Hut at around 7 o'clock on the WQEL Facebook page. It'll be coaches and players from Galleon and Colonel Crawford High School. No Crestline this week as they have other commitments. We also have a double header scheduled on WQEL. It'll be Colonel Crawford at Winford at boys basketball, and we'll have girls basketball, Galleon at Bucyrus on WBCO. Thursday night, Ohio State men's basketball taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes from Columbus, coverage beginning at 7:15. And then Friday the 4th, we will have high school boys basketball, Mohawk at Seneca East on WQEL at around 6:30. I'll be your host for the Friday night phone board, let me report. 7:30 on Friday, it'll be Mohawk at Winford on WQEL. I'll have the Friday night phone board. Coach Abram Capel and some of the girls from Buckeye Central will be in studio, again, weather permitting. Saturday night the 5th, high school boys basketball, Mohawk at Seneca East at 6:30, and it'll be Jared Moore for the Saturday night phone board. Thank everybody here at the Pizza Hut, especially our manager, Crystal Stewart. I'd like to thank Cameron Moon and Harper Boggs for helping me out tonight. Special thanks to Bucyrus bowling coaches Diane Capel and Joe Powers and their team. Winford boys assistant basketball coaches, it was Nate Smith and Carson Kimmel and their team. And assistant girls basketball coach at Buckeye Central, Tyler Shade and his team, for being on the show. Thank you to our sponsors, most of all you for tuning in on our Facebook Live. This is Mike Sparks reminding you, as I do each and every week, a spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. Have a good night, everybody.